Hello everyone, I am Tacit and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Hot and Holy event in which the Fireborn Paladin is added to the game. So we are finally back from our trip, so we are back to normal schedule as far as everything is concerned. Seems like we're getting a pretty big patch next week, which we can look forward to. Probably going to be getting some more information potentially this week on it as far as official information. Aside from that, of course, the Mythic video that we covered a little bit later, but it is still in drop table for the next 4 days in Glory, Gem Guild, and VIP chests all the way until Friday reset. It is for pretty bad Mythic, but you know, need it for completionist sake, so we're still getting in that regard. But before we get into our normal stuff, there is one thing to really mention. So as some of you might know, this weekend is a Vault event weekend, but not just any Vault event weekend. Well, I guess the Vault event itself is a normal Vault event weekend. However, we have a very special something in Soulforge right now, and that is Ironhawk. So as many of you know, Ironhawk is pretty much the best farming trip in the entire game. From a resource perspective, it is the strongest trip in the entire game. It doesn't seem like much because it has a pretty minuscule ability that actually got nerfed before it came out. It was supposed to be 20 Doom Skulls, was reduced to 12 before it ever came out. So its ability is almost never used. And you know, it just has impervious and stuff, and just does 5 damage to all enemies when it casts a spell. But of course, this final trait, when combined with Empower, with other things that already do damage, like Dust Devil, in combination with those Empowers, you can instantly win fights within just 1 or 2 casts. So this is done very commonly with Dust Devil and anything else that has a automatic Empower into extra turn, like Sister Superior, and you just end up combining things like those together, and boom, you just win out a fight in literal seconds, as quickly as you can click a cast button to auto win. So this is very, very good for something like a Vault event weekend, which we have this weekend, as it will allow you to farm gnomes at the quickest rate possible, as when it comes to those kind of battles, it only cares about how quickly you can win. It does not care about necessarily the difficulty or anything else of the fight, so you would just go to some place easy like Cinemirage, Wild Plains, places where you can easily get away with a one-shot and then just bring out your one-shot team. Most of you guys are probably already aware of this, but I do want to mention it as not only is it a Vault event weekend, but it's a Vault event weekend where Ironhawk is available. So you just run things like this, and then boom, dead, they're out. And of course, whenever you're doing a higher battle, or if you're doing a Palooza, or if you're just in a location where they're strong enough that they're not going to survive that, like let's say Blackhawk, if we go bring this down to an Explore 1, so we can actually still kill it. Then we have the other team, Sister Superior, which is used purely for the fact that she has Empower into nothing, or into auto extra turn, I should say. Then Dust Devil, because it has the 5 damage into Empower. And then the double Ironhawk, which allows us to actually do damage, as when we have 2 Ironhawks in the team, that's 10 damage per cast, and of course with 3 we're doing 15 additional damage per cast. And as you saw right there, that wouldn't have been enough, but with that extra little bit of damage, it is. So in those kind of situations, you need the 25 damage, and that's mostly relevant for when you're running Paloozas and such as well. But yes, 100%, if you have 8,000 or 12,000 diamonds laying around, and you don't have your double or triple Ironhawk yet, definitely go and get it. Both are still viable, though 2 is generally enough. It is a little bit slower when in cases where you can get away with 3, like for example Cinemirage and Wild Plains and a few other. I think Drugzoom could still be one-shotted with that. However, keep in mind, those kingdoms will eventually have stuff durable enough where probably nowhere will be able to run the 3 method, so 2 is probably fine if you're a little bit tight on diamonds. But if you do have them laying around and you've been saving for your Ironhawk, now is the time to get it. As not only is it in Soulforge, but just in time for a Vault event weekend. So yeah, definitely make sure you do that. One of the strongest trip in the game from a resource farming perspective. And as this is a very completionist focused game, as far as like collecting everything, getting everything that you want, getting everything upgraded, getting just a bunch of free resources, Ironhawk is by far the best way to do it, specifically during Vault event weekends, which we have this weekend. But anyways, let's go back now into our normally scheduled everything. So, we got ourselves a new useless troop. Actually, I forget, is he useless? Well, you can stock up on brown and red arcanes if you need for 200 each. But yeah, preview is useless, right? He deals damage to an enemy boosted by red gems, and yes, he is useless. And if my armor is higher, he gains barrier. Not really much of a need to do this. You have Elementalist hero class from this place. If you're looking for something that can spam barrier, just use your hero as Elementalist, and you're going to be perfectly fine. There's also pretty much no knights from this location, even though it's basically pure elemental. There is no real knight synergy for this in Nexus, so yeah, he's never going to be used. He does have that red spawn, but that's pretty much a mechanic almost everything from this kingdom has. So, as far as event keys are concerned, are event keys worth it? Event keys are in a weird position. So, as far as star level right now, Nexus can reach the good old glorious 20 star. Actually, can reach 21 star too. Wait, what do I not have upgraded? Upgrade 30 Nexus troops to level 20. Wait, did I not upgrade either of the 2 new troops? Oh, that's funny. Wait, I did actually upgrade either of the 2 new guys to 20. Well, I guess we go do that real quick. But yeah, it should be 21 star right now. But these 2 new troops, actually maybe 22. But these 2 new troops allow you to basically just easier reach to 20 star in order to get your extra stats. So if you've been lucky to do that and you were still just missing something from the kingdom, well, now it'll be a little bit easier to do so. Let's see. Let me go do the other guy. Might as well. This guy, don't forget, you need to go and make sure you fully ascend. When it comes to the journey event we have this week, your amount of extra points is based on ascension, unlike those other modes where you simply just get a flat 2 times bonus. This one is actually scaled based on ascension, so you actually do have to max it in order to get the maximum bonus for the journey event this week, so don't forget to go and do that. Luckily, we haven't done any fights yet, so we have not lost any score. Yeah, 22 stars, that's what I thought I was going to say. Because I was like, looking at it, like 20 stars, like, wait, should have went up some. But yeah, you can now reach 22 star, which I think is a little bit extra tribute. But the main thing is, it's just a little bit easier to reach the 20 star, and with that, you can end up getting extra armor for your Rowain, for your Guards avatars, for your Teslas, and everything else that ends up using armor boost ratio. But as far as event key is concerned, there's one thing I actually wanted to check, as I'm not 100% sure if it's in drop table. As you guys know, we just recently had the summer event. The summer event took place a couple weeks ago, and with it we ended up getting the Ember Claw, I believe his name was, a guy that can basically create a elemental star every single turn, consistently, which is pretty nice. The thing with him though is I believe he is currently not in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest drop table. And he won't be until probably around, like, basically next time we open next month's Mythic. However, he should be in Event Key drop table. So let's go see. Can we get a, what's his name? An Ember Claw. Or is he not in drop table? Let's waste a couple Event Keys. Okay, I'm not seeing him. I don't think he's in Event Key drop table either. Okay. Unless we're just getting really unlucky. Okay, if we do it one more time and we don't get it, I will make the conclusion that he is not in Event Key drop table. I did show him for the low rarity teams, which is the main reason I want to check this. I feel like it's still kind of low rarity in the sense we literally just had an event a couple weeks ago where you got him for almost free. So I will still show him for the low rarity teams. However, if you don't currently have him from the previous event, yeah, you don't get to use him. He's definitely not in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest drop table. I know that for sure. However, apparently, unless I'm getting absurdly unlucky, he is... I'll do one more just for the sake. I will 100% confirm. If he is not in this pool, he is 100% not in the Vedki drop table. And... oh, we got Aquaria, though. I'll take that. I think I already had one of them. I don't think it's that useful having multiple of that thing, though. But I don't even think I'm using it for any team this week. But hey, we got a Mythic. There we go. About on drop rate. But, yeah, I think that pretty much concludes that he is not in drop table. So if you did not get him from the summer event, you will not be able to use him during this week, which is a little unfortunate because he's a really good budget or even just generally useful troop to be using for this event. Hopefully you got him from the other event because, yeah, he's very, very good for this current event. But yeah, that's a little unfortunate. I thought it might be an event key drop table, but yeah, apparently not. So do not try opening your event keys for the Ember Claw. He won't be in drop table for at least another few weeks, which doesn't help us now since we can event key for it. With that being said, as far as event keys are concerned, you're mostly opening event keys. Well, since you can't get Ember Claw, the only reason you'd be opening event keys, other than to check to see that he's not in drop table, is, I'm looking for Nexus somewhere in all this mess, is to go get yourself a 20-star Nexus if you don't already have it. That's pretty much the only real reason you would go for it, for the most part. There's not really much must-haves other than the Ember Claw that's not in drop table. So as far as things that are not in drop table, these include the 4 Nexus troops, which really needs a 5th. The 5th one really needs Stealthy. I'll go over that more later when we get to the team. But the 4 faction troops, the... actually, probably quick show... oh, never mind, I already am. But yeah, the 4 faction troops and Ember Claw, and the Lovers, and the current Journey troop, which is this guy, the Ignarian. So those 7 things are not in drop table. 4 faction troops, the Journey, the Ember Claw, and the Lovers. And of course, the Lovers is required for making the Wand, which is actually usable as Wand is a Nexus weapon. So you can use it for things like Underspire this week, which is the only Underspire you can actually get away with using it. So that's pretty nice. The Lovers you end up getting from the Vault Key drop table. So if you don't have that, you can, you know, farm more Vault Keys this weekend. Ember Claw is currently literally non-existent if you didn't get it earlier. However, he will be in Glory Gem Guild and VIP chest drop table later on, and as well as event key on the next Nexus event, however, not this Nexus event. And of course, the 4 faction troops are from their faction, and the Journey troops from the current Journey event we have going on. And yeah, we actually did get ourselves a second copy of Aquarius, and now we have 2 and 2. Nice. I actually do use Calica this week, but anyways, overall, pretty skippable unless you're looking for Kingdom Stars, because the most useful thing that you would event key for, the Ember Claw, is not in drop table, so don't try going for it, unless we just got absurdly unlucky. But I'm pretty sure if we opened about 1,000 keys and didn't get it, it is probably not there. Anyways, so in other news, what are we doing? Let's go to, we did that. Let's go over to the Journey event. So we were just talking about this earlier, of course. Make sure to fully send him to get your maximum 3 times Journey points. He also has double magic, so you can use him as your main damage source if you really want to. However, for a lot of these teams, it's basically just going to be Wand with Mirage Queen, assuming you have it. Mirage Queen gives all elementals 50% mana start, which you are forced to have to use a pure team elemental anyway, so you might as well use elemental hero class as well and get that value for a pure elemental team. And you also have to use red, so he falls in both those categories, Wand falls in both those categories, and you have to use this guy. So the only real variance you're going to have is whatever on Earth you use as your third option, the cheapest thing being, well, maybe not cheapest, but I still consider it cheap this week. Sorry if any of you didn't get it earlier, but I'm still considering Ember Claw cheap, just because we had a summer event for it like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, you can just put Ember Claw here, you can even double up on Ember Claw if you want to go Ember Claw here. But basically, just Wand, Ignarian, your best damage source that you have that's in this category, and then Mirage Queen. That's all you need. If you don't have Mirage Queen, you throw Chaos Shards at the Sunken Fleet, which you can do whenever. This you get from the event from spending 210 gems, also getting the weapon along the way. This is just your best damage source. And of course, Wand. This I did believe I replaced this down for something cheaper in the lower rarity team. However, of course, if you end up doing the Vault event weekend this weekend and kind of just stall this event, you can technically go farm a bunch of Vault keys, hopefully get the lovers, and then go craft yourself the Wand if you don't already have it laying around. It's relatively low rarity, but you can get really unlucky in thousands of Vault keys and still not get the lovers. But it's a pretty nice weapon to have, of course, one of the strongest in the entire game right now, and counts as every color. But anyways, should overall be a pretty easy journey event for once. Not the easiest we've ever had, obviously, since the nerf and everything. They're definitely quite a bit harder. But definitely on the easier side. We have access to an Elementalist that can actually get 50% mana start, which we don't normally have. And of course, all the really good Elemental Mythics that you can end up synergizing with it. So overall, shouldn't be that bad. Next, we have things that are going on throughout the week. This Tuesday, we have ourselves the Umbral Nexus, which is a yellow-purple restriction. Wednesday, we have that guy that gives a little bit extra green mastery for your green surges. Thursday, of course, we have the strongest hero class in the entire game in most situations, the Elementalist hero class. If you somehow do not have this thing maxed, you can get some more XP for it. And if you don't, you should probably go max that soon, because it is absurdly good. And beyond that, this Friday, of course, we have Vault Event Weekend. And to go with that Vault Event Weekend, you know what's in Soulforge. We kind of already went over this. There really isn't anything to mention beyond the very obvious. So I say that. What if there's something else that's new here that hasn't actually rotated? No, it's the only one. Fairy Godmother, you don't even get a mention this week. It's all Ironhawk. Just get your 2 or 3 Ironhawks. If you do not have your 2 or 3 Ironhawks, go and get it. Keep in mind, unfortunately, there is very little one single Ironhawk can do. It's one of the few mythics in the entire game where having one does almost nothing, just because he can't really fully utilize his final trait with only one, as it does stack with multiple fully. So 2 of them will do 2 effects, 3 will do 3, so on and so forth. However, his ability is pretty underwhelming. It's basically just a very overpriced mana accumulation thing for 25 mana cost. It generally isn't worth ever casting unless you absolutely have to in a given situation. So for the most part, 1 does not really do anything. All the teams that really need him to function use 2 or 3. So that's the only really big downside, is if you can only afford 1, you can still do it if you want, and maybe hope you, like, next Adana event, you could, like, event key for it and hope you get the second one. However, it is generally best just to wait until he's in Soulforge, get your 2 or 3 immediately with diamonds, and be good to go. So if you can only get 1, it might be worth just skipping, potentially, and just wait for the next rotation and get 2 or 3 of them. Unless you do want to try the event key drop table on Adana, but of course that is purely luck-based and could take thousands of event keys, so it might not be worth it. As far as weapons are concerned, the absolute strongest thing you can craft this week is O'Shea's Tome. As far as O'Shea's Tome is concerned, there's a bunch of explodes based on how many blue allies you have. Very situational, but as well as elemental allies. But it does do a lot of explodes, basically full board clears in a situation where you're using like a blue elemental team. Very niche as far as when you bring it out, but a very high amount of mana accumulation. And aside from that, Volcanic Mace, I do actually use this on one of the teams, even though I don't use O'Shea's Tome just because it's a really red-heavy week, so we don't really get to use blue as much. However, Volcanic Mace, main relevant thing about this, it's a pretty standard-looking mana accumulation weapon. If you just look at this, just creates a bunch of red and brown. It has a Firestorm, which is kind of useful, I guess, to go with the red and everything. A lot of the teams that we end up using end up utilizing that Firestorm, which is one of the reasons why a lot of these teams are a little bit more red-heavy, beyond just the Journey event being red restriction. But the main thing that makes it strong is this. It is a brown-purple, specifically brown-purple. Brown is the color that it uses. It is one of the few double mana accumulation weapons that feed back into himself, similar to Stone Slicer, and the one I always keep forgetting. I'm not sure why. I feel like every single time I ever bring that up, there's always one weapon. Oh, it's the Naga weapon. It's Cobra's Curse or whatever it's called. That one, like, brown-green Cobra weapon. But yeah, I think those are the three. I always forget one of them every single time I mention them. But it's this mace, that one that works for Nagas, and the one that works for Constructs, the Stone Slicer. Unless I'm forgetting one, I believe those are the three currently double mana accumulation weapons that feed back into themselves. So if I am forgetting one, definitely feel free to mention it below, because I think those are the only three. I always forget one of them though, but yeah, those are the ones that feed mana back into themselves. So they're naturally just a lot stronger, as half their mana that they mana accumulate, well, go back into themselves. Unlike all the other weapons where they create two colors that neither of which go back into themselves. So these tend to be some of the better ones, and honestly not bad of restriction. Nexus? Well, Nexus could still use a few good options. It's overall not too bad as far as kingdom synergies are concerned, especially for a relatively newer kingdom, because this was like, what, 4 kingdoms ago? For a relatively newer kingdom, it has some pretty solid synergy, though that kind of helps with the fact that pretty much the entire place is elemental, while also having a bunch of mana accumulation stuff. So overall, pretty good weapon. And those two are the main ones that I would consider getting as far as Soulforge are concerned. Unless you need something for something else this week, but those two are probably the main ones. Anyways, anything else to mention as far as the big ones? Otherwise, let's start getting into teams. So, as far as teams are concerned this week, let's start all the way from Journey Event. So Journey Event, of course, this week is restricted to elementals that are red. With that being said, we can end up just running Wand Mirage Queen, as I mentioned earlier, into whatever. You have to use this guy, so this third slot is basically whatever your damage source is. It could be Calica, it could be Aquaria that we literally just got. If you need to really budget down, you can go for Emberclaw. If you really, really need to budget down, there should be some guy here that does all AoE, right? All enemies? Come on. Any of you? Any of you? Any of you? Any? That doesn't count. Alright, well, you don't really have a budget option, do you? I really hope everyone has Emberclaw. Because I did not really adapt these teams for that, and honestly, there's not a good damage source here that isn't a legend or a mythic. I guess you could end up picking up... No, not even the kingdom. I was gonna say, you could end up picking the faction legend, but not even that does damage. Yeah, wow, why does this place, like, lack low rarity damage? Every good damage this place has is all high rarity. Well, I guess it's Void Wisp, but that's more so for the faction thingy. Actually, we use them for 2 teams, oddly enough, once we get there. But anyways, for the low rarity team, I am considering Emberclaw low rarity for this week. He's not an event key drop table, but hopefully got him during summer event. Though, honestly, this team will function perfectly fine without him. All you're really doing here is manning into Ignarian. You could even do a mana accumulator here and you'll be fine. So if you just put a mana accumulation option there, shouldn't be that big a deal. You can end up going with, you're still elemental, right? Yeah, you can end up going with Shaylee or anything else there if you don't have the Emberclaw from a couple weeks ago. However, if you do, it's just a free star every single turn and decent amount of mana accumulation when it casts. We're just using Mang to armor tier as well as to scale up our attack. This also scales through the entirety of Journey, so as they get harder, you will also get more attack. The Ignarian you have to use for your 3-time score, and will be your main damage source in every team, regardless of what you have. Emberclaw is here for a little bit of chip damage, as well as mana accumulation, as well as the star that does every turn. And Mirage Queen, 50% mana starts your entire team, as your entire team has to be elemental anyways, and it just gives 50% mana start to all elementals. And you can easily get that from Destroy Chaos Shards at the Sunken Fleet faction if you don't already have it. Next, we have ourselves the faction event. This is yellow and purple for the Umbral Nexus. With that being said, we can just run a pretty standard Guards Avatar quick kill, similar to the Rowan build, but when you can't use Rowan. And for the higher level range, we are going with a pretty standard Hiking Iron Good Zolgoth, though, of course, if you do not have any either of these two teams, all you gotta do is go pick yourself a Thrall, pick yourself a Leprechaun, put a tank in first slot like Hero, put your best damage source in third slot, and you got yourself a team. So this would just be your hero, this would be your best damage source, and Thrall Leprechaun just carries you as it does for pretty much everything it could ever be used for. Next we have ourselves also keep in mind, if you do have Takshakas, you can run triple Takshaka as well, of course. Next, we have ourselves the Pure Faction team of a diverse team of just Void Wisps. This is what I was talking about earlier, and I hope whenever we get a 5th troop for Nexus for the faction, I hope it has Stealthy, because as it currently stands right now, you actually have to run 4 Void Wisps. The main reason for this is because of its Stealthy trait. The problem with running only 3 Void Wisps is, which can make a viable team. However, the problem with that is because every other thing on your team has Stealthy, which would be all these Void Wisps, and the other troops that are from this faction do not have Stealthy, which is, you know, everything else, like the Legend or anything else that you might use, you basically end up getting full targeted on whatever your other troop is. So these 3 will have Stealthy, your other one will not have Stealthy, so every targetable ability has to be targeted onto whatever your non-Void Wisp troop is. This is very problematic because that means they're going to be concentrating all of their damage onto one single unit, whereas ideally you want them to distribute their damage across everything on the team. So for this reason, until this place gets a 5th troop that is hopefully also stealthy, you basically have to run 4 Void Wisps, as having 4 stealthy on your team basically nulls your stealthy. So having 4 stealthy means you have no stealthy. The other alternative to this is you could just not trade it. However, not trading it gives up your 1 purple every single turn, and with 4 on your team, that's 4 purples. Or if you were running like a 3, that'd be 3, so on and so forth. However, it is best just to fully trade it and just simply use a full team of him so that you can get the 4 purples per turn, and then you just steal lifesteal. It's pretty similar to gosh, what's that one ice place where you use that one rare that's like 65% reduction to a lifesteal? It's basically the same premise, except you don't have score reduction, but instead you have a bunch of mana accumulation per turn. It wins quicker, but you are slightly more at risk of dying. But since you're getting 4 purple per turn, just keep casting your first slide and he'll keep gaining life. This is steal life, so not only are you doing true damage, but you get to keep the mana. You also get to steal 4 mana and magic, so your amount that you get to steal keeps going up. You get to get some of your mana back, which in combination with your 4 purples could even give you full mana, because you'll get 4 and then you just have to cover 8 with your 4 that spawn. With a double banner is generally going to get you pretty close, if not all the way, especially with a surge, or if you get it 5 times or something. And then the 2 magic just helps you scale while also lowering them a little bit. That later on, when you're doing a 500, the 2 magic steal is not going to do much. But you scaling higher on magic will make the big difference. And of course, whenever they're about to get to full mana, as long as you don't have immune to mana drain, you can just drain them down with their 4 mana drain so that they have to go get a whole nother match. Next team we have, this might sound kind of counterproductive to the fact that we just mentioned you shouldn't be, running a non-stealthy here. However, this is the class event and not level 500 pure faction. And in the class event, you are very unlikely to die. And for that, we actually can run a non-stealthy here, and it won't really matter that much. We're just running Archmagus with your best purple weapon or whatever you want to run there. We're showing you Black Manacle here. But you can do this with any premise of this kingdom. A lot of things from this kingdom have create 1 gem per turn. For example, this guy creates a brown... Oh, no, this one he takes skull. Of course, I would pick like the 1 thing that doesn't have it. I'd pick the 2 things that don't have it. There we go. He creates like a red gem every single time his turn begins. So you can do this with any premise of any troop from this place. Corresponding to whatever weapon you want to use. So for example, if you do want to use, let's say, the ruby weapon, because it will be a little bit quicker than Black Manacle, but I don't normally show it because it's still currently paid walled for, I believe, another month or so. Anyways, you can just run this, boom, 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 triple of that, it'll create red into that weapon, and you go win with that. So just do it to whatever weapon you're doing. Black Manacle is just the most accessible one, so we're showing it with Void Wisp here. And that's pretty much the strategy here. You get your 3 purples per turn, feeds into your Black Manacle, get all your casts, or keep casting it, win. Anyways, next and lastly here, we have ourselves the good old Underspire. So as far as Underspire is concerned this week, you have to use anything from Nexus. Keep in mind, the Wand of Stars is a Nexus weapon. Use Wand of Stars. If you have Wand of Stars, you should be using Wand of Stars during this event. It will hard carry you through the entire thing, as it does all your Bless, does all your Curse, does all your mana accumulation. It's all you need. So just run that, you're good to go. We're using Archer here to get it rolling a bit quicker, though you can opt for Elementalist class later on if you find that you're at risk of dying. But running a 50% mana start or similar will be a little bit quicker for the earlier fights. Beyond that, we're just using Caliga. We actually have a lot of mechanics that can create elemental stars. Not only does she have a 50% chance to do so per turn, Emberclaw has a 100% chance to do so per turn, assuming there's a purple on the board. And of course, your weapon itself can also create a bunch of elemental stars. So in that combination, you should be able to get a decent amount of boost ratio for her. Of course, it's hard to get a lot of elemental stars on the board without them matching. But on average, you could, with this team, probably see about like 2 to 5-ish normally on the board, which is a pretty substantial amount of additional damage. Keep in mind, you can also go down the other damage source if you don't want to have her inconsistency of how many elemental stars on their board of Aquaria, as on average, Aquaria should hit more, assuming there's not that many elemental stars on the board. However, if you do get a board state that does have a lot more elemental stars, Calica will hit higher. So it really comes down to preference on if you want to run Aquaria or Calica, or based on which one you have, as either or will run as a perfectly fine main damage source for this place. And of course, worst comes to worst, spam more Emberclaw. With that being said, low rarity team, spam more Emberclaw. You just replace whatever your damage source was with your 3rd Emberclaw that you got from the summer event a couple weeks back, as he's currently unobtainable if you do not currently own him, unfortunately. However, if you don't have it, the general premise will still reside. You just run Volcanic Mace into anything that uses red. So your basic premise here is just keep spamming Volcanic Mace with your best red user. If you don't have any red user at all, you're going to be using Ignarian. But otherwise, you would just throw in like some of the guys that like create 1 red per turn and stuff like that. But worst comes to worst, you're just going Ignarian with like 2 of things that create like a red or something if you really have to upgrade, or downgrade, I mean. But hopefully everyone has Emperor Claw. But if you don't, just use the current Journey Troop, throw in some red spawns, you'll be fine. All you really need is just, literally your whole team could just be Ignarian. It's a Volcanic Mace and you'll be fine. You just keep spamming Volcanic Mace into itself and into this. This feeds back into itself. The rest of your team will be Elemental because basically every single thing here is an Elemental. So, yeah, it'll work perfectly fine. You'll have the 4 times boost ratio. You just keep spamming it. You're using Elementalist, so you're absurdly tanky. Worst comes to worst, this weapon alone could probably solo the entirety of the mode, even without the rest of your team. So if you're struggling for it, just get this weapon and you should be fine for the most part. Might be slow to try to use this as your primary damage source, but it could definitely get the job done. And that is everything. Only other thing to really mention, of course, which we kind of already mentioned, is more so relevant than ever. Not only is there a Vault event this weekend, but go make sure you pick up your Ironhawks. If there is any one thing you do this week, it is if you do not have your Ironhawks, remember to go get your 2 to 3 Ironhawks and go build your Dust Devil teams, as these are by far the best way to farm Vault events in the entire game, and Vault events are the best time to ever farm any loot in the game. And this is overall about, it depends depending on how much you count all the loading screens and everything. At one point, I would say it's about 50% quicker. I would say in the current state of the game, it's about 30 to 40% quicker than the next best option you can use when quick killing Vault event weekends. So that's a lot of extra loot. Even if you lowball and say it's only 30% higher, that's like almost a whole third extra speed compared to the next best team. That is a lot of extra value. That basically means for what, every 3 hours that you farm, you're basically farming for 4 hours compared to if you were doing a different team. And that definitely adds up over the course of a Vault event weekend as far as how much loot you can get. So definitely make sure to pick up your Ironhawks. And if you need more diamonds, you can technically farm some during the Vault event weekend. Obviously, if you're in a pinch for a few, that could work. Obviously, if you need like thousands, probably not going to be getting thousands this weekend, but who, you never know. There's 60 diamond drops in the Vault Keys if you want to go open some of your Vault Keys, which reminds me, I need to go open some of my Vault Keys. But if you want to go open these Vault Keys, of course, if you want to quick kill them, easy quick kill Takshaka teams, one of the easier ways to do it. Even if you don't have Stellarix, I believe Diamantina still one-shots, so it still has enough damage if you have enough magic within the current state of the game. So killing through these very quickly are always a good way to try to get more diamonds. How perfect is that? I'm talking about diamonds, and we got 66 diamonds right there. And yeah, so if you're a little bit of a pinch for diamonds, keep in mind they are rarer than that. I think they're like closer to 1 in 10, 1 in 15. I have no clue what the actual drop rate is, but hey, look there. Perfect example. 66 diamonds for 1 Vault Key. Though on average, I believe every Vault Key, if you break it down, comes out to about, I want to say 7 diamonds, give or take. If we knew what the actual drop tables were, we'd be able to figure that out a bit better. I'm not sure where the data mine is on it these days, but I want to say on average, every Vault Key is roughly 7 diamonds, give or take a little bit, because not only can you roll diamonds off the normal gnome, as you can see here, but of course you also have the hefty 60 diamond drop when you're running to 20% extra. It's normally 50 increased by 20%. They end up getting from the good old Cedric. So yeah, perfect. Look at that. Perfect example right there. Perfect. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend. Of course, we are back to normal streaming schedule now, so we will be streaming every single night as we do on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single night. And beyond that, of course, we'll be grinding out that Vault weekend this weekend, which will be starting this Friday and go through the entirety of the weekend. Definitely don't want to miss that. Best time to be grinding in the game, ideally in just quick kill explore, as we showed earlier. But anyways, guys, all the teams will be in the description if you want to go and copy paste any of them. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. Definitely feel free to leave a like on this video. It is greatly appreciated and helps out a lot. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.